Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. It's another paid request, this time from Edward. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos or topics, reactions, commentaries, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal, usually the best bet, or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for South Park Season 18, Episodes 1 and 2. Now, what's interesting about this, at least based on these two episodes, is that they actually kind of have a bit of continuity to it. So at least there's a little bit of intrigue in there. I don't know how it works out in the long run. I don't know how long they did it, but because in the first episode, they create a startup company, but the startup company is something that's they're not going to do anything. They just want the money, and it's pretty much South Park taking the piss out of Kickstarter. Which the sad thing is, this could work in today. Like you could have the same episode today and it would still be prominent, whether it be Kickstarter, or Indiegogo, or things of that nature. Crowdfunding without having to pay back investors. Because Kickstarter was a nice idea. It's just sadly there's a lot of people that A, took advantage of it, or B, they did it and then they just created what sadly amounted to very subpar or shit product. Idea whether it be Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I mean, how many times have you heard, well, this got funded on Kickstarter, and then you see it, you go, wow, this never should have been funded. Like, really? Really? Idea, I forget if it was Kickstarter, Indiegogo. Like, that video game was a Mighty Number 9, and the team came out, and most people hated because it looked like shit, and the explosions looked like a bunch of meatballs or lasagna, the fire effects, and you're sitting there going, really? Like, this was the result of it? Or was it Shenmue 3 where they said one thing, then they fucked over a lot of people, and then they said it was going to be the finale, and then it wasn't? Haha, we fooled you. Uh, I think it was Indiegogo had that crappy Spider-Man fan film Lotus. So I kind of like the taking the piss out of Kickstarter. And pretty much Stan, Kyle, Cartman, Kenny, Butters, they start this company. They try and find out a name, and they pick all these over-the-top, vulgar names, and apparently they've all been taken with the idea of just how many fucking people have started Kickstarter. But they finally do it because they take the name the Washington Redskins, because at the time the trademark was pulled. Which, again, that fits because, of course, later on, they would become the Washington Commanders, which is such a shitty name. And I kind of like the whole take. I mean, of course, nowadays you can work in the whole Native American, the whole thing about it, but I just at this point, just the trademark was pulled, and so we can use the logo, we can use the name, and they do it, and they get successful, and they're outright saying we're doing this to do nothing, and they get popular, and more people do it, and hey, we would commend them for sticking to their guns and doing nothing. On a side note, I do think it's interesting that you look at the upheaval that people had with the name Washington Redskins. Oh my god, it's so offensive, it's so racist, it's so racist and offensive. And then when they changed it, lo and behold, you have a lot of people who happen to be Native American that said, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like the Washington Commanders, that sounds like shit. We want the Redskins back. Like, no, 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 no. Redskins is, yeah, like any word. If you want to be a dick, sure, you could use it to denounce somebody. But Redskins is not an offensive name because as Native Americans themselves explained it on camera, back to the day, it was a noble warrior that would paint their skin red as a sign of courage and valiance to go into battle. So, being a redskin is a certain thing to be proud about. That you're a tough some bitch. And these are Native Americans saying it. But no, let's not listen to them. Let's listen to like some of these people that say they're Native Americans, but I look more Native American than them. With some of the people that complain about it. But and now there's this piece of news like now people like a Native American coalition have gotten together to try to get the name back because they're tired of the cancel culture shit. So, which I think is I don't think they're going to win. Which would be the most ironic thing is that you did this to supposedly help Native Americans, but then when thousands and thousands of Native Americans are saying don't do that, now we're not going to listen to them. I thought the whole point was to listen to them, but whatever. I know I go off on a tangent, but just the whole thing just very funny to me. But I mean, this is before that stuff. I don't know if at this point just the trademark was pulled for other reasons, or if it was the beginning of that, which will lead to future stuff happening. But during it, Kyle just for some reason he doesn't like the name. Doesn't like the name. And this kind of seemed unnatural. It kind of seemed like, well, it just happens off the fly just because we need something to happen. Kyle was gung-ho about it. Then all of a sudden he's like, nah, I actually don't want the name. And then him and Stan leave. I do like Butters because there's a point of contention earlier with dialogue, and then Butters is like, wait a minute, is this a company I don't get raped? Okay, I'll stay here. So Stan and Kyle, they try to create their own brand. They do it, and then out of the blue, Stan goes, you know what? I'm going to leave you. It just seemed like this shit kind of happened out of the blue with no natural progression. It's like, well, like the Washington Redskins stuff seemed the more interesting part of the story. The kids kind of separating to form their own companies kind of just seemed as if we don't really have much else to write. We don't really know how they get from point A to point B, so just yeah, he doesn't like it, so they split up. And then those two don't like it, so they split up. And it just didn't seem as strong of a plot compared to the... Like, the kids' plot didn't seem as funny or as interesting compared to the Kickstarter making fun of it or the watching Redskins stuff. So the owner, the Washington Redskins, is pleading to Cartman, and Cartman's like, well, I don't have to legally do anything, so get the hell out. Then he's kind of pressured to change the logo, so he changes the logo, but he puts titties and a dick on it. There's titties and balls, because we don't care. Until ultimately, spoiler alert, the Washington Redskins are going to play a football game, but they're so embarrassed they're like, fuck it, we're going to leave. But the owner... he makes a last-ditch effort to play the Dallas Cowboys by himself. And he keeps going, hut, 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 and they keep jumping on him, hut, hut, hut. And each time they keep jumping on him, he gets bloodier and bloodier, and the crowd's like, stay down! Stay down! What are you doing? Trying to be the whole last man standing, going up against the... just did completely massacred. Of course, being a note to Native Americans. And also, there's a point earlier where the Redskins fucked up the Kickstarter headquarters. Like, I guess Native Americans fucking up something back to the day, because you have like the music and the way some of them act, in that over the top Southport fashion. And then by the end, it pretty much the crowd goes, "Listen, you better change your name, or on boycott," and because this guy got massacred. And then the kids, I guess, instead of thinking of a different name, they just go, "Okay, I guess we'll go back to school," and then it just ends. So it's kind of like, well, we don't really know how else to end it, and they're not going to try to come up with a different name. So, okay. You think they would try to, like, maybe a different football name, basketball name, something like that? I guess not. So they just give up easily, and then they leave. And then I guess in episode 2, where there's a continuity, they go back to school, and the kids are pissed at them. And the lead characters are acting as if, wait a minute, you guys are supposed to forget. Because that's the theme with it. After the week, people forget, goes back to square one, it doesn't. The kids go, you guys called us assholes, and you told us to go fuck ourselves because you guys will never go to school again, and you don't do this and that. And someone says, why is it that now everyone remembers what was said? So I did like that bit, that continuity comes into play, and the kids don't really know how to do and deal with it. I kind of wish they implemented that even more. But instead, I liked the first episode. I thought it was a fun one. The second one is okay, but it goes to this whole gluten-free thing. And I'm so behind the times. I know about gluten-free, but at the same time, it's just the most I encounter with that around here is, hey, do you want to buy some gluten-free Oreo cookies? No, because they taste like shit. Like, that's really as much of gluten-free that is really thought about around this area, hell, around this fucking state. So the idea, the jokes, they really appeal to me about gluten-free, and Mr. Mackey talking about gluten-free, and there's like, oh god, did you just get off about the gluten-free? And then apparently there's a seminar, and a scientist drinks pure gluten, and his dick explodes out like a rocket, and now we have like an outbreak situation. The guys are not gluten free, they're dying. So now everyone is of course scared of all the types of foods, or they're throwing as much of it away. The kids are depressed because they're supposed to throw a party to try to get themselves to be cool again, but now if they throw a party, what the hell food are they going to showcase? Cartman, he's depressed because there's not much food, and then he has a vision like Stephen King's The Stand, only this time it's Aunt Jemima, which shows when this was made because Aunt Jemima was still a thing. Nowadays, Aunt Jemima's been kicked out. It's no more Aunt Jemima. Which is another thing that was so fucking stupid. To get rid of Aunt Jemima. I had never, ever, ever heard of anybody being fucking offended about Aunt Jemima when they're putting the shit on their pancakes. Or waffles. I'm more of a waffle guy. I never heard a single fucking person. Because I'm like, what is Aunt Jemima? It's just an aunt named Jemima. And put the shit on the waffles. What about that is awful, terrible? What, am I supposed to be offended about Brawny? This is a guy who's white in his beard. Like, I'm offended because his paper towels. You know what paper towels do? They wipe up fucking dog shit, cat puke, cat shit. It spills dirt. So I'm used just to wipe up dirt because I'm a dirty white man. I'm offended. That's how fucking stupid some of this shit goes on, and just mental nutcases. mental fucking nutcases bitching about useless shit. That your mom is offensive. No, you're offensive. Stop existing on my earth. God damn, some people are just fucking stupid. Fucking dumb. So Carmen sees Aunt Jemima kind of like Abigail from Stephen King's The Stand. And one thing leads to another, and you find out that the food pyramid was upside down. So really, you should be eating fats and all this stuff. Now, I don't know if this stuff carries over, like how long this continuity thing works. So it will be interesting to see. So I mean, there were still funny bits in it, like when they're testing the gluten on the rats, on the mice, and even the mice did fucking explodes out like a rocket. When Randy and some are trapped in a Papa John's, it's like, no, no, don't take me to Papa John's, no. And it seems like everything's fine. This guy's like eating all this stuff. Wait, you're fine. You're fine. And you wait a beat, and then the guy fucking dies, and his dick rockets out. Just how ridiculous the image is, was pretty funny. The stuff with the kids, again, they kind of peters out. They set up a party for this kid for diabetes to be popular, and some kids call in, and they call them out on their bullshit. Especially when they're like, well, we can't because of this food crisis. And Wendy's bitching at Stan about it, and I don't know, the stuff kind of fell flat with the kid stuff. I guess ultimately they did have their party, so I guess they're looked at as cool again, so there's that. It's just that while, again, the whole thing of showcasing continuity at the beginning was interesting, I can't really remember much about the kids themselves that were funny about this episode. Again, any moments of humor of this episode was the ridiculousness of what the gluten will do to people, and the mass hysteria that happens because of that. Although the gluten talk got tiresome, and again, not really stuff that affects me and people around here, because that's barely a word that's used around here, trust me, other than if you go to a store and there's gluten-free Oreo cookies. Yeah, I'll pass, just they taste, I tried them once, they taste like shit. So and sorry about the background noise. I do live out in the middle of nowhere. One thing I thought they were going to do more of too is that Butters, we learned that, I guess previous to the first episode, he had burnt the gym down. Now I thought they were going to go further with that, like, Butters, why did you burn the gym down? What are your thoughts because you burnt the gym down? No, instead, like, the teachers are talking about, should we let Butters back in since he burnt the gym down? And then Mr. Matthews starts talking about gluten, and then it's all about that. And there's even a bit where you hint, like, maybe the kids were going to go help Butters, but instead they're helping this other diabetes kid, so. And then Butters isn't really mentioned for the rest of the episode, so I don't know if that's for later. If Butters will still not be in school, and that's going to lead to something else. At least with the idea of continuity, at least a bit of intrigue of what will happen next. But with that said, I would say I didn't mind the first episode. I liked it. The second one, because I like the making fun of Kickstarter, the whole idea of it. The Washington Resident thing got some laughs out of me. The second episode, again, I got tired of the gluten talk. Again, sorry about the background noise. And as I wish more was done with the kids in the second half. I just used to see, like, Cartman telling them about the food pyramid stuff, the scientists, but I don't know, I just didn't think it was as funny, I guess, as other people did, other than the ridiculous rocket stuff. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye bye.